unlimited power. Türkiye is heading towards a very important election. Everyone's eyes are here. The words spoken by alliances and candidates have never been followed so closely in the steps they took. In any case, the election would be between President Erdogan and Kemal Bey. Maybe the votes that the other two candidates would or might not get would have ensured that the election would yield results in the first round. Unknown. Either Erdogan would maintain his presidency or Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu would be elected. There was no third option. For this reason, I think it would be much more useful to look at the background power, route, rhythm and position rather than the candidates. Let's go on that frequency again today. Maybe not many remember, but Benjamin Disraeli and Franklin Roosevelt, two names that have an important place in history, were the names who openly complained about the ruling secrets that affect the world. One was the British Prime Minister and the other was the President of the United States. Focus, which we do not know, were calculating on the world. It was like that yesterday and today. Maybe they've been effective for millennia. However, the changing conditions after the Two World War led to the birth of various centers. Naturally, the form of the struggle was changing. With the pandemic, we saw that the increasing population of the world was bringing resource shortages. This accelerated the battle for resources. Türkiye was also not outside of this struggle. He couldn't stay. They wouldn't let go. Many organizations that we cannot name, such as the Heritage Foundation, Hoover Institute, Cato Institute, American Enterprise Institute, Center for Policy Studies, Institute of Economic Affairs, Adam Smith Institute UK, Soros Open Society Foundation, were operating in every geography. Organizations such as NATO, the UN, the IMF, and the World Bank. Intelligence organizations. The digital Big I too. So many important names, organizations are working, but the problems in the war did not end. Isn't that strange? For example, Spotify, Netflix, Tesla, Starbucks, McDonald's, Walt Disney, Telefonica, Johnson & Johnson, Microsoft, Apple, Oracle, Nike, Coca-Cola, Facebook, Alphabet, Amazon, Volkswagen, Walmart, Bank of America, JP Morgan, write-down companies such as Goldman Sachs, Tencent, Disney, Samsung, Verizon, Deutsche Telekom, China Construction Bank, Agricultural Bank China, Toyota, and Mercedes. And take the world map in your hand and mark the poor and low-income countries. Look at the mathematics of many countries such as Mauritania, Malta, Albania, Bosnia, Libya, Trinidad and Tobago, New Guinea, Nepal, Paraguay, Bulgaria, Panama, Lebanon, Puerto Rico, or even Portugal. The resulting picture revealed that companies are richer than countries. And gradually these scissors were working in favor of the companies. Naturally, this brought with it the question of politics and even how the world would be governed or by whom. This war, which we saw mostly in the USA, was spreading everywhere. One of the centers was perhaps the mother of Europe. Although not as a military power, they always played for leadership as an opinional and economic power. This global war, which we were not very interested in, eventually came and found Turkey. Inevitably. We also saw this in the elections. On the way to May 14th, the same scene was set. The parties are clear. Even though they were passed off with slogans, Erdogan and Kılıçdaroğlu represented separate, different, opposing camps. Nation Alliance presidential candidate and CHP leader Kılıçdaroğlu warned of the dark web with the words, "Playing Cambridge Analytica is beyond your capacity, guys." It was a step that changed the rhythm of the discussion. All of a sudden we had to turn our eyes to the dark side. A very natural step was taken for me shortly after the CHP leader's statement. The center of my name was Europe. The European Union Police Organization, Europol, took the stage. He captured 288 people with raids in 9 countries. Although the drugs grade was deducted in the statement about the operation, the truth of the matter was that the action was taken in parallel with the step taken by Mr. Kemal. Both Kemal Bey and his partners were close to the organization, named after Montpellier, a town near Montreux in Switzerland, in philosophy. Economic and Political Perspectives in 1947, Nobel Prize-winning economist professorate fit the trend founded by Friedrich von Hayek. Frank Knight, Karl Popper, Ludwig von Mises, George Stigler and Milton Friedman were also here. It was at the base. Royal families, big investors, politicians, of course. So, money, title, and power were here. It was present in all of these interconnected structures. Rather, it was hosting a movement that emphasized the wishes of the companies, was cold towards the state, and wanted freedom. The main theme was the non-strong state. Maybe they were defending strong companies, on the contrary. These and similar structures did not want Putin, Xi Jinping, Erdogan, or even Trump. They were demanding a world where the free market, that is, money, had the last word, not the government. In fact, they were also against the borders. It was a struggle about their countries, their regions, and how the world should be governed through them. On the one hand, there was money, power, family, technology, digitalization on the one hand, and the state and strong leaders on the other. This fight we saw over Trump-Clinton or Trump-Biden had reached everywhere. On the way to May 14, Türkiye was hosting it. Mr. Kemal and his friends were coming with a method not far from the spirit of monks, and President Erdogan was walking with the air of a leader who knew all equals and who was firmly established in his current position. This struggle would declare where, with whom, and how Turkey would walk. This was the reason for the increase in tension just days before the election. Perhaps a much higher rhythm would be reached. Unknown. This was the fight I thought was lost among the slogans. Roughly, it was a whole arm wrestling encompassing the axis from the Kurdish issue to the central bank, from the parliamentary system to the structure of the TAF, from the MIT to the Red Crescent, from the SGK to the BDDK. It was a struggle to configure the government and parking to the relevant place. President Erdogan resisted the operations with his power and succeeded in changing the axis of the country. Now the other side was pushing to take it back. To get a rematch from Erdogan they couldn't beat. This is May 14th. Let's watch. Note, is it a sign that the Kremlin and Buckingham were shaken by attack attempts on the same night?